Democrats. Today is Tuesday, April 6th. And for those of you who know me, have had a conversation with me, you know that I got involved after trying a whole bunch of times, mainly because of the right to vote. I think that everyone should have free and fair access to the ballot box, be educated when they get there, and that their vote should count. That's what gets me up in the morning. Yes, I care about climate. Yes, I care about a woman's autonomy of her body and education and healthcare. I care about all those things. But the main thing that motivates me is that everyone should be able to vote. That's my big thing. We all get involved for different reasons, and mine seems kind of soft, but it's a big deal to me because I do believe that your vote is your vote is your voice, and I'm super motivated about it today because today is an election day. So if you have a school board race or a municipal race, get out there and vote. If you live in Yukon, Edmond, Piedmont, parts of Oklahoma City, in that special election district of Senate District 22, get out and vote. It is 4:18 according to my clock, which means you have 2 hours and 42 minutes to get out and vote. Go vote. Your vote is your voice. It is the way that you get to make a difference. And so I don't get to vote today. I care about voting. I get all excited about it, but I actually do not have a ballot today. So if you haven't voted and you're still going to go vote, color it in extra dark for me so I can get a piece of it. Voting is super important to me. So I say that I'm going to come on here every day and I'm going to talk about bills, elected officials, and elections. All right. So I did a little talking about me there for a second. Sorry, but voting is my jam and it's an election day. So the bills that I'm going to talk about on an election day are national bills. So it is S1 and HR4. And if you have a TV, if you watch TV, listen to the radio, you've heard about these bills. And these are the voting rights bills that are being talked about on the national level. I went to a training session yesterday about S1, which is the For the People bill. That's probably how you've heard it talked about. And then H4, which is the John Lewis Advancement Voting Act bill. You've heard that one as well. That's how they talk about it. But S1 is for the people. And for me, the way I boil down the differences between the two bills, S1 are those things that restrict voting that don't sound like they have anything to do with race or gender. And so they just kind of sound innocuous. They just kind of sound like we're trying to tighten up voting. And then HR4 are the things that just say, let's stop with the racist gerrymandering. Let's stop with the racist restriction of voting rights. And so it's kind of interesting listening to them talk about it. And I thought, so I'm going to share with you guys a couple of little interesting tidbits for me. So one of the things that's included in S1 is automatic voters registration. That's not a Democrat-specific issue. That's you turn 18, you get registered to vote. You turn 18 and you're a citizen. Regardless of what Senator Cruz says, we're not letting non-citizens vote. That's not what Democrats are trying to do. Regardless of what the alleged pedophile Matt Gaetz says, we're not catching and releasing non-registered folks and then registering them to vote. That's propaganda, it's insanity, and it shows you how desperate they are. But automatic voters registration, who gets hurt by that? Who gets hurt by saying you're an 18-year-old citizen, you get to exercise your right to vote? They're fighting it. Online voters registration. In Oklahoma, 6 years ago, we actually voted for online voters registration. We still don't have it. And because they keep not putting money towards it. So we still don't have it, which makes us one of only 10 states that don't have online voters registration. So in Oklahoma, if you want to register to vote, you got to leave your house and you got to go do some stuff. Or you can go onto our website, log on to our voters registration tool, fill that out. We will mail you a voters registration form where you can pick your party affiliation, sign and date, and put it in the self-addressed stamp envelope that we send and mail that back, and you'll get your voters registration card mailed to you. So that's one option, but it's a process where in other states, they can just tap, 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 and you're registered to vote. So And then there's the voter ID stuff. So you keep hearing this whole, you have to have an ID to go to a baseball game. No, you don't. No, you don't. You have to have an ID to go to a baseball game if you have your tickets in the will call box and the people don't know you. But you literally can go to a baseball game incognito. I'm going to ask you not to do it because they've opened it all up and nobody's wearing masks and it's too many people. Wait a while, but you can't go without your ID. But you hear them saying all of these, you need an ID to do everything. Well, interesting tidbit from yesterday. In Texas right now, you can, this is the workaround that they came up with. You can use your gun license to vote. That is an acceptable ID to vote. Okay, that sounds not a big deal, but you cannot use your student ID. Honestly, I'm not going to go into all of it, but I'm just going to say, who do you think the students are and who do you think the gun holders are? I'll let you figure that out on your own. Another group that is being disenfranchised are trans neighbors. In a lot of states, they still don't have laws where they have laws that if you have the surgery to start living your actual gender, some states you can't change your birth certificate and your driver's license. And so you were born assigned female, but you are in your lived experience of male, and you go through the process. You go see the counselor, you go have the surgery, and you are now living your authentic self, and you're living as a male. Your driver's license still is still misgendering you. In some states, that's the driver's license you have to show to vote. Come on. That's disenfranchisement on a whole nother level, and they know it. And then we all know about what happened in North Dakota, I believe it's in 2016, where they passed a law that said you could not use a P.O. box. You had to use your physical address to be able to vote, knowing that the folks who lived on reservations weren't issued physical addresses. Disenfranchisement. So it doesn't sound like it when you say ID and when you say address. It doesn't sound like they're targeting specific demographics. But when they know people don't have a physical address and they say you can only vote if you have a physical address, they are absolutely targeting those folks. When they say you have to have an ID who matches who you are, and they know that there are people who cannot get appropriate ID, they are targeting those folks. When they close the polls on Sundays in places that have robust souls to the poll programs, they are targeting African American voters. They are targeting voters. The language is just so soft that they can say, no, we're not. It's just we're securing our elections. Yeah, you're securing it for the people you picked to vote. Which brings me to gerrymandering. One of the things in S1 says that partisan gerrymandering would be banned, which is awesome because voters should pick their representation instead of representation picking who they want to represent so that they can stay in office. So it's just some, we all hear about this and they talk about it like and by the way, that bill is 818 pages. So I don't care how much you're into it. I bet you haven't read all 818 pages. So we all talk about it like we've all read it, but I wanted to read some highlights just so you guys would understand how important this is. And then to bring it back to Oklahoma, we had our legislators try to pass a bill that says that Oklahoma legislators can pick and choose which bills that come from the federal level are constitutional that can be applied here, because they don't want to adhere to the new voting expansion laws that we're trying to pass. For example, there are a whole bunch of other bills because it's a Democrat president that they don't want to follow, but voting is the one that is the most pressing. Meanwhile, we had some of our Democratic legislators put up bills that said, hey, if somebody knows, and we know in advance that somebody didn't sign their absentee ballot, let's give them an opportunity to sign that absentee ballot so it counts. Thank you, Representative Goodwin. How about we make sure that people who are no longer incarcerated know their rights with regarding voting? Thank you, Representative Turner. What was the other one? There was another one. I can't remember what it was. Expanding the amount of days to do early voting in person. Thank you, Representative Bell. I got to say thank you here because and I'm going to share with everybody who's watching me, that they went nowhere. Those bills did not get a hearing. Those bills will not become law. It's a little bit depressing. So Democrats are working, so are the Republicans, Democrats are working to expand our voters' rights, and the other folks are trying to limit it and calling it securing. I just kind of wanted to talk about that so that you guys know these are big deals. And if there are things that you can do, do it. So one of the things you can do is reach out to our senators and tell them to pass S1, to vote yes on S1 and vote yes on HR4. Those are important. Voting rights are, they are the core of our democracy. And I think we are still a democracy. In order to do that, we still all need to have a say. So that's my lecture for today. If you haven't voted, please, please, please go out and vote. And if you know anyone who is over the 18 and who is eligible to vote, please have them go out to okdemocrats.org, register, okdemocrats.org, register, and register to vote. Fill out the form. You will get a voters registration form to sign, date, and mark your party affiliation, and you'll get registered without leaving the house. You guys have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow at 4:15.